To forge a flawless biological operating system, the U.S. military executes a ruthless 57-day psychological crucible designed to entirely shatter a soldier's individual ego. This is the violent rebirth of a human being into an immortal, infallible symbol of absolute combat authority. How exactly does the Marine Corps permanently rewire the human mind to never fail? Let's step behind the razor wire and decode the dark science of how Marine Corps drill instructors are trained.
Right at this exact second, a single F-35B Lightning II stealth fighter burns through $135 million in taxpayer capital, executing vertical takeoffs with an earth-shattering 40,000 pounds of directed thrust from its advanced F-135-PW-600 turbofan engine offshore. A staggering $13.3 billion is poured into the heavily armored hull of a USS Gerald R. Ford-class supercarrier, housing twin A-1B nuclear reactors capable of generating 600 thermal megawatts. Yet, that entire 100,000-ton apparatus of mechanized annihilation instantly degrades into a useless floating target without its most critical, fragile biological failsafe. We are talking about the intensely trained non-commissioned officers of the United States Marine Corps. These are dedicated men and women pulling a base salary of exactly $31,176 a year at the E4 corporal pay grade. It is the ultimate operational paradox of modern kinetic warfare. How does a 20-something NCO become the absolute linchpin in a multi-trillion-dollar defense grid? To understand this massive discrepancy in combat value, we must immediately analyze the strategic return on investment at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island, South Carolina. Inside these high-security gates, an elite fraction of the Corps undergoes a grueling, meticulously engineered crucible drill instructor school. This is not basic training. This is the brutal factory that builds the ultimate factory. Insiders track a merciless curriculum consisting of precisely 540 high-stress academic and physical training hours, ruthlessly compressed into a punishing 57-day operational window. They operate under a brutal 14-hour daily operational tempo, leaving zero physiological margin for recovery. This incoming class of 75 hand-picked students includes 12 female Marines fighting 10 times harder to dominate a historically male-centric military battleground. They are not merely learning advanced drill commands or parade deck mechanics. They are being systematically reprogrammed to function as a lethal human operating system. A drill instructor serves as the front-facing algorithmic logic of the Marine Corps. Their primary directive is hard-coding unbreakable cognitive discipline into the neural pathways of raw civilian recruits from the exact millisecond their boots strike those iconic yellow footprints. Every single recruit arriving at receiving is an unpredictable, highly volatile 18-year-old biological variable. The drill instructor must be the absolute, unwavering mathematical constant. Have you ever wondered how combat commanders guarantee absolute compliance under a 120 decibel artillery barrage? You do not achieve that kinetic survival rate with Generation 3 panoramic night vision optics or Level 4 synthetic ceramic body armor. You achieve it by installing a flawless mental architecture under extreme physical duress. These students are pulled directly from across the global fleet to execute this precise mission. Some are 21-year-old corporals beginning their second enlistment contract. Others are battle-hardened staff sergeants carrying multiple combat deployments and titanium shrapnel in their bodies. Here, past glory is instantly neutralized. This brings us to the raw, uncompromising math of the modern battlefield. The single deadliest, most effective weapon in the American military arsenal is not engineered in an air-conditioned, sterile laboratory at Lockheed Martin. It is forged in the suffocating 90% humidity, the blood, and the highly engineered psychological trauma of Parris Island.
They are the unquestionable architects of violence, order, and strategic combat supremacy. If you want to continuously decode the true anatomy of global military power and unlock the highly classified psychological warfare tactics that turn ordinary civilians into apex predators, hit that subscribe button and like this video right now. We are permanently stripping away the Hollywood propaganda to show you the brutal, unfiltered, and mathematical reality of the tactical world. But exactly how does the United States military apparatus forge a flawless biological operating system from inherently flawed, mortal human beings?
We must immediately obliterate the toxic cinematic mythology of the unhinged, rabid drill instructor, cemented by Stanley Kubrick's 1987 film Full Metal Jacket. The unfiltered reality executing on the blistering 110-degree Fahrenheit asphalt parade decks of MCRD Paris Island operates completely beyond Hollywood fiction. It is not instinctual noise. It is ruthless, mathematical, and executed with the microscopic precision of neurosurgery. The suffocating chaos witnessed inside those squad bays never originates from spontaneous emotional rage or unchecked personal ego. It is a highly weaponized psychological operation, AWAYOP. It strictly adheres to the Pentagon's core neurobiological doctrines regarding combat stress. The United States Marine Corps refuses to cowardly hide its darkest operational failures. During their grueling 540-hour academic curriculum, these 75 elite tactical students are violently forced to confront the gravest tragedies in military training history. The devastating April 1956 Ribbon Creek incident, where a catastrophic lapse in judgment drowned 6 recruits in a tidal marsh, is meticulously dissected. Similarly, the fatal 2016 hazing scandals, resulting in a recruit's tragic 40-foot fatal fall, are analyzed as mandatory legal case studies. Military prosecutors ruthlessly break down Article 93 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. They define the exact, non-negotiable legal parameters of cruelty and maltreatment down to the specific punitive syllable. What is the ultimate strategic objective of this brutal legal immersion? It is to forge an impenetrable, absolute red line between life-saving extreme pressure inoculation and toxic criminal physical abuse.
How exactly do you reprogram a fragile, 18-year-old civilian mind into a hyper-lethal combat asset capable of ignoring overwhelming enemy firepower? The terrifying answer lies buried deep within the OODA loop doctrine. Observe, orient, decide, and act, pioneered by aerospace strategist Colonel John Boyd. Imagine a kinetic, real-world tactical scenario. A forward reconnaissance squad is suddenly ambushed by a 7.6 2x54mm RPKM heavy machine gun. It cycles at a devastating 650 rounds per minute from a concealed 200-meter firing position, the heavy rounds cracking overhead at Mach 2.4, under that supersonic suppressing fire. A human biological brain possesses less than 0.4 seconds to successfully execute a complete OODA loop. Do you honestly believe that inherent natural bravery will magically save a Marine in that fatal quarter-second window?
Bravery is merely a totally unreliable, highly volatile emotional variable. Conditioned, mechanical kinetic reflex is the only absolute survival truth on the battlefield. It is precisely inside this fatal cognitive blind spot that the invisible weapon of cognitive overload is mercilessly deployed by the drill instructor. You think they are just screaming mindlessly to assert dominance. Look closer at the severe physiological data. Those iconic, deafening vocal commands frequently breach the 110 decibel threshold. This generates an acoustic pressure wave functionally equivalent to a heavy pneumatic industrial drill, striking the unprotected human eardrum. These acoustic strikes are not anger. They are weaponized tactical audio viruses. They are intentionally injected straight into the auditory canal to aggressively force the central nervous system to instantaneously process massive, complex tactical data while the recruit is actively drowning in sheer panic. This is the brutal foundational architecture of stress inoculation training. When confronted by a drill instructor screaming a multi-tiered tactical command from a microscopic distance of exactly 2 centimeters, the recruit's amygdala instantly triggers a primal fight-or-flight survival protocol. Baseline resting heart rates violently spike, instantly crossing the dangerous physiological red line of 160 beats per minute. Blood pressure surges to a staggering 180 over 120 millimeters of mercury. A massive, toxic chemical dump of cortisol and pure adrenaline violently floods the entire cardiovascular network. By systematically manufacturing and aggressively repeating this extreme psychological shock trauma over 3,000 times across a 13-week cycle, these instructors are literally dragging the bloody, sensory overloading horror of modern urban combat right into a sterile barracks environment. Can a standard human mind truly adapt to this level of engineered psychological terror? The absolute terrifying climax of this manipulation is the chilling fragility of the operational tightrope. These drill instructors are continuously balancing on a strategic equilibrium thinner than the razor edge of a high-carbon steel Ka bar combat knife. If they miscalculate and apply just 5% too much psychological pressure, the neurological conditioning instantly collapses. It devolves into toxic, paralyzing abuse, permanently fracturing the recruit's internal resolve and creating a highly dangerous psychological time bomb for their future deployment unit in kinetic theaters like Helmand or Fallujah. Conversely, if they dangerously drop the pressure by a mere 5%, mortal human weakness survives the grueling training cycle. That exact lethal micro miscalculation is ultimately paid for in heavy, black vinyl body bags silently returning from burning overseas theaters.
When the dark art of psychological manipulation reaches this flawless peak, what horrifying physical pressures must the instructors' own biological bodies endure to stand absolutely unbroken for 16 hours daily? To physically sustain the psychological dominance, the human framework of a Marine Corps drill instructor is subjected to a biomechanical punishment that defies standard physiological logic. For a punishing 14 to 16 continuous hours every single day. These instructors exist in a state of perpetual kinetic motion. The human skeletal system is simply not engineered to absorb the relentless on high impact kinetic shock of executing flawless, close order drill on dense, unyielding 4,000 pounds per square inch concrete parade decks. But how do you quantify this silent physical destruction?
Examine the raw metabolic data. Sports physiologists tracking elite infantry units indicate that a drill instructor operating at peak operational tempo burns between 4,500 and 6,000 kilocalories per 24-hour cycle. This massive caloric expenditure perfectly mirrors the metabolic output of an elite ultramarathoner running a brutal 50-mile stage race. Yet, unlike a civilian endurance athlete who wears highly engineered maximum cushioning orthotics, these NCOs execute their demanding mission in standard issue Bates Lights combat boots. Over a standard 13-week training cycle, the sheer cumulative compressive force transferred upward through the tibia and femur inevitably triggers microscopic stress fractures and severe plantar fasciitis. Can any normal human sustain that level of agonizing joint degradation without visibly limping for a drill instructor? Showing a single micro expression of physical pain in front of a recruit is an absolute, unforgivable tactical failure. The facade of invincibility must remain utterly impenetrable.
But the most devastating physical trauma is not inflicted upon the lower extremities. It is localized entirely within the microscopic anatomy of the human throat. The drill instructor's command voice is a highly specialized biological weapon, and operating it improperly is a physiological death sentence. When a human attempts to project a vocal command to a rigid formation of 90 recruits spread across a 50-meter outdoor asphalt grid, the natural civilian instinct is to scream forcefully from the larynx. This is a fatal biomechanical error. Generating a sustained 100 to 110 decibel acoustic wave directly from the fragile vocal folds will cause catastrophic vocal cord hemorrhage within exactly 48 hours. This structural failure results in the dreaded, raspy, froggy voice, immediately neutralizing their tactical control.
To weaponize their vocal projection without violently tearing their own throat tissue apart, these instructors must master the complex anatomy of diaphragmatic compression. They are meticulously trained to drop their internal air pressure deep into the pelvic floor, utilizing the massive abdominal wall and the diaphragm muscle as a high-pressure pneumatic bellows. By forcefully compressing the diaphragm, they launch a highly pressurized column of air straight up the human trachea. entirely bypassing the fragile friction of the upper throat. Even basic commands, like adjusting a web belt, are violently expelled at maximum acoustic velocity. This ensures that if recruit number 89 makes a microscopic error in the back of the formation, recruit number 1 hears the immediate tactical correction with crystalline, terrifying clarity. Yet, even with flawless biomechanical execution, this biological weapon requires relentless, desperate maintenance. Behind closed doors, the nightly reality shatters the intimidating daytime facade. They are not consuming high-performance synthetic supplements to heal, to reduce severe laryngeal inflammation and repair microscopic mucosal tears. They rely on a strict, almost archaic biochemical protocol: scalding hot water, dense natural honey, and raw citric acid from lemons. This precise chemical combination heavily coats the battered vocal folds, desperately buying enough cellular recovery to unleash another 14 hours of acoustic warfare at exactly 400 the next morning. This relentless physical attrition reaches its absolute terrifying apex during week 6 of the rigorous drill instructor school cycle. Picture the extreme scenario. An instructor's muscular glycogen stores are completely depleted, and their central nervous system is violently misfiring from chronic, severe sleep deprivation. Yet, standing precisely in the center of the squad bay, completely surrounded by 90 highly reactive recruits, the drill instructor must execute a flawless display of physical supremacy. Their internal resting heart rate might be hammering at an exhausted 135 beats per minute, their calf muscles screaming with toxic lactic acid buildup, but externally, the posture is rigidly locked at a perfect 90-degree angle. The diaphragm expands rhythmically, controlling each agonizing breath to coordinate a massive, synchronized 90-man platoon movement without exposing a single microscopic fracture of weakness to the recruits. They are a lethal biological machine operating flawlessly on a completely empty tank.
If the physical devastation is this absolute, who protects the minds of these steel machines from completely shattering before they are granted the power of life and death? To prevent psychological collapse under this immense strain, the drill instructor must seamlessly transition from a mechanized weapon of fear into a surgical architect of human character. This monumental shift occurs during the basic daily routine, or BDR, when the aggressive 100 decibel commands finally cease at 2,000 hours. The squad bay transforms into a clinical psychological laboratory. Out of a standard 90-man platoon, statistical data reveals that up to 40% of these 18-year-old recruits arrive from fundamentally broken socioeconomic backgrounds, lacking rudimentary paternal guidance or basic structural hygiene. How do you instill the lethal precision of a $100,000 guided missile into a young adult who has never been taught to properly fold a blanket or sanitize a laceration? The NCO assumes absolute operational control over their livelihood. They must aggressively identify a recruit concealing a severely bruised metatarsal or a dangerous staphylococcal skin infection out of sheer terror. In these quiet or critical hours, the drill instructor becomes the ultimate surrogate parent, patching the deep psychological voids left by fractured civilian upbringings.
But the psychological burden of absorbing the deeply rooted trauma of 90 volatile recruits is a highly corrosive process. The United States Marine Corps refuses to leave this critical vulnerability unchecked. Before an instructor is ever granted the terrifying absolute authority of a standard 36-month tour, they are subjected to rigorous, mandatory psychiatric screenings. Clinical military psychologists administer highly complex behavioral assessments, measuring emotional resilience and identifying microscopic cognitive fractures. They proactively hunt for the dangerous threshold where a drill instructor either overestimates their tactical dominance or fatally underestimates the profound psychological impacts they inflict. It is a calculated, preventive strike against internal psychological decay. The mental armor of the instructor must be absolutely impenetrable. Because a single moment of emotional compromise on the parade deck instantly destroys the fragile illusion of their godlike authority. As the grueling 57-day crucible nears its culmination, this absolute demand for perfection is physically manifested in the final uniform inspection. This is not a mere dress rehearsal. It is a brutal, zero-tolerance optical test calibrated to the exact millimeter. High-ranking evaluators scrutinize every square inch of the service uniform. The alignment of the anodized brass waistplate must be mathematically perfect. The fabric creases must be laser straight, completely devoid of the dreaded double crease anomaly. Even a single, microscopic stray thread, known in military nomenclature as an Irish pennant or IP, is treated as a catastrophic systemic failure. An IP is not a loose string. It represents a fatal lapse in situational awareness. If an instructor cannot detect a 1mm thread on their own collar, how can they be trusted to spot a highly concealed, improvised explosive device tripwire in a hostile combat zone? The ultimate climax of this agonizing transformation arrives at the graduation ceremony, defined by one singular iconic artifact, the olive drab campaign cover. When that legendary cover is finally pressed onto their head, the true terrifying genius of the curriculum is instantly unveiled. The ultimate twist is that these 540 brutal hours were never solely designed to teach them how to forge raw recruits. The devastating physical pain, the vocal hemorrhaging, the relentless psychological evaluations. It was an extremely sophisticated crucible engineered to completely annihilate the NCO's civilian ego. The school systematically burned away every remaining trace of human hesitation and mortal weakness. They have not merely been trained, they have been violently reborn. The drill instructor standing on that parade deck is no longer a human being with flaws. They have been permanently elevated into an infallible, living symbol of absolute military supremacy.
Entirely stripped of the right to ever fail. This is the raw, unyielding, absolute zero of military leadership. You do not command respect through mere rank. You brutally forge it through undeniably flawless execution and unwavering physical discipline. Every single daily operational action is a deliberate display of lethal combat readiness. If you want to continuously analyze the hardcore tactical strategies and extreme psychological engineering that dictate modern warfare, hit that subscribe button below and like this video right now. Join the global ranks today. Completely decode the absolute truth of modern combat logic and ensure that you never miss a highly classified tactical intelligence briefing